Hi everybody, so in this video we are going to go through Power BI. In the first video in this series we looked at an introduction to Power BI and we brought some data from a website and we combined it together in a query and then we showed that in the visualization representation of our data. In this one what we're going to do is we're going to look at bringing an Excel document into Power BI desktop. We're going to do some transforms, we're going to look at some of the data changes you can make, just to recap a little bit. And then we're going to build a dashboard based upon that, looking at some other elements such as DAX and how we can create tables within this software. Okay, so again, I don't take credit for this tutorial itself. I'm following basically a Microsoft tutorial when I make this video. However, I think it's useful for me to do that for you, and then it's a bit more personalized to computing. We can go through some different aspects and we can discuss it in a little bit more detail than you might get from copying a worksheet. Okay, so as you can see from my page, I've got Power BI Desktop open. I've also got in the background my Excel document, which I'll give you, which is just a set of data which is taken and it's got loads of finance information within it. Okay, so let's jump over to Power BI. So if you just open up Power BI Desktop for me, and what we're going to do, like I say, we're going to go through the building of this from the first stage, and again I'm going to recap some of the things we've done and I'm going to try and teach you some new things as well. In terms of what we're trying to achieve within this project, we're going to use the scenario of our manager wants to see a report on the latest sales figures. They have requested an executive summary, so like an overview summary of which month and year had the most profits within it, where in the company seeing the most success, so which part of the country or the world sees more success, and which product or segment should the company continue to invest in. So imagine the scenario being they've got a number of products, a number of places they're selling it, and they just want some executive data, some overview data on this in order to carry out some analysis and discuss these figures. Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to download some sample data. We're going to prepare the data using some transforms, really just to show you what it can do. We're going to build a report with a title, 3 visuals and a slicer, and then we're going to publish the report to Power BI services so you can share it with colleagues and peers alike. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, Power BI is now open. I'm going to close this down and I'm going to import some data. Okay, so I'm just going to go to get data at the top because this is how I prefer to do it. I'm going to click on Excel. I know you've got some shortcuts there. I'm just going to find my Excel document which I've got saved on my desktop for the purpose of this, and then I'm going to open it up within Power BI. It might take a couple of seconds to get to this point, and then you should see this navigator appear. This is the bit where you can click on different tabs and it tells you different aspects such as that. So it pulls basically different areas of that Excel document. The way this Excel document is set up, all we need to do is click on Financials, and then at the bottom here you can load it straight into Power BI, but we want to click Transform Data and it brings it up in the Power Query Editor. Remember, if you click on Load by mistake, that's fine. You can just go to this data box here and then go down to the fields, which is this one, and then you'll be able to right click it here and go on Edit Query. It doesn't show it there for us just because we've already got it open and we've not loaded it yet. Okay, so let's do some basic transforms. This is our data that we pulled in from that Excel document. I'm just going to go through a number of little ones that we could use all the time, and it should just show you a little bit more context of what Power BI can really do. So the first one, I'm going to go to units sold. So I'm going to go across to units sold, which is here. And what I want to do here is I just want to make sure that there's no decimals in there. Because imagine it's like a units and it's something being sold. You don't sell half a product, do you? So in this data itself, it might just be a little bit confused. So I'm just going to go to units sold here. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go to change data type and I'm going to click whole number. A little pop-up will appear and we just want to click replace current. This is just like a validation check to make sure you definitely want to do it. So you've got 1618.5 there. We click replace current and then it'll get rid of all of the decimal places. And remember, on the right hand side here, it's also saving these steps for us. So we can go back, we can change it. Don't worry about breaking anything. If you do it wrong, just click the X and delete that stage, or just press undo and go back. So the second thing we're going to do, we're going to go to segments, which is the first column here. And what we want to do is, with this one, we want to make it all capital letters, just to make it easier for us later on. So I'm going to highlight the column, and then I'm going to go to my Transforms tab at the top. I'm going to go all the way across to Format, which is in the middle here. I'm going to click on Format, and then I'm going to click Uppercase, which is this one. And you'll notice now that all of the column in the first one is uppercase. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to change the title of month name to month. And to do this, we just need to go across to the tab, which is month name, which is here. We're going to double click it, and we're going to get rid of this bit here. So we just want that one to be called month. Okay. So as you can see there, we've got 3 different transforms we've just done. We've changed the data type of one, we've made another one uppercase, and then we've changed the title of one of the columns. Okay, so let's continue with this a little bit. Let's go to our products column, which is about here. And then in this products column, what I want to do is I want to get rid of the product Montana. For the purpose of this, just imagine that that product is no longer being sold, and therefore I don't want that product to be there. So I'm going to go up to this product at the top. I'm going to click this little drop down box here. I'm going to go to my Montana, which I don't want to be included within my data. I'm going to click OK. And that will get rid of all of them Montana ones within that column. And again, it's just about looking at our data, and it's about narrowing it down to the exact things that we want to use in terms of this. And that should help us out in the future. In the right hand side here, you'll now see we've got all of our applied steps there. And just like I said before, you can go back through these, you can delete them, you can click on different stages and it'll take you back to different previous stages. And this is a really good way of looking through your processes in your data and seeing how you could streamline it or make it a little bit better. Okay, so now we've got that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Home on the top of this Power Query Editor. We're going to click Close and Apply, and then it'll jump back into our Power BI desktop, and it'll load our data that we've just created into that. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to create a table within this. We're going to use something called DAX for this, okay? And DAX is basically a way in Power BI where we can do things through coding. We're going to cover DAX quite a lot in the future, and we're going to look at different ways of doing it, and we're going to look at the code in more detail. So we're not really going to focus on that today, but we are going to use some DAX within this tutorial. At the top here, I'm going to go to New Measure. You'll notice, just quickly on the right hand side, if I go to Fields and drop this box down, you've got loads of different fields here, which we can click on and we can use to create these visualizations. The ones that are sums of here, you'll notice that they basically bring in different pieces of data together and they do basic calculations for you. These sums we can make ourselves by using something called a new measure and using DAX to do it. So we're going to click on New Measure, and then at the top here we're going to type in a title for our field, so total units sold, and then we're going to put equals, and then we're going to click we're going to type in SUM for sum, and you'll notice it pops up here because it's starting to help us write this formula. You can use the tab button to like kind of build it if you wanted to, but I'm going to build it just by typing in the numbers. And then we want the sum of the financials from units sold. So we're going to do financials, which is there, and then inside square brackets we're going to type in units sold, like so, and then make sure we've closed it with a bracket like this. So as you can see there, we've got our total units sold, which is our title. I'm just going to make that capital letters, and that is going to be equal to the sum of all of the financials within units sold. So within the column here, units sold, we're going to add all that up together, and that's what it's going to give us. Okay. When you've typed in a formula within DAX, you just press that little tick button there, and then you'll notice on the right hand side here, we've now got a new one, which is total units sold, and it's done that calculation for us. Okay, it's worked it out. One of the main benefits about Power BI is we don't have to work out the maths. It does it for us as long as we know how to tell it to do it. Okay, so now we've built that. On the left hand side here, if we click on data, which is here, then we go to the top and we click on new table, which is here. What we're now going to do, we're going to create a new complete field. So we've got financials, and then we're going to create a new one above it, and that's going to allow us to tailor our data again to what we need. So we've got fields there for financials, sorry, and now we've got tables one which we're going to currently create. In terms of this, what we want to do, when it appears here, we're going to type in calendar equals, and then calendar again. You can scroll down to it and press tab if you wanted to. And then inside that, I want some open brackets, and then I'm going to put date, open brackets, then comma, date, open brackets, and then close brackets again. So you should see here we've got a basic structure built, which is our calendar, and it's going to be equal to the calendar date from whatever I type in here to whatever I type in here. And I'm going to do it from 2013 and then 0101 all the way up to 2014 1231. This is American style dating, so just be careful with that, but you'll see now it's pulled that data for the purposes of what we want. And then I'm going to press the tick button, which is here, like so. Okay, so now I've done that, I can jump to my model view on the left hand side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to join up my date from my calendar here to my date in my financials. And basically what that's doing is it's taking the data over and making a relationship between it. We're going to cover these sections in a lot more detail in other videos, but for now, as long as you understand that we're creating a DAX table, or we're using DAX to do a measurement, basically work out some calculation, and then we're creating a table which is separate, or a field which is here, which pulls some information from different places together, and then we're using the model element to connect them. We're basically making a little query within Power BI. But again, we'll go over this in a lot more detail in other videos. We'll do other videos which are just based on DAX and just based on building these tables. But for now, hopefully you've got up to this point. Okay, so now we're going to build the report. Okay, we've got all this data that we've started to do. We've done some transforms, we've done some different elements such as that. I want to build an actual visualization of everything I've just done. We're going to do this in 5 different stages, okay? I'm going to talk you through each stage, and then from each stage then, I'm going to build up this visualization. I'm going to do some formatting. I'm going to edit things as I go along, just to show you how some of these different visualizations could work, and how you could then edit them depending on what you wanted to do. Okay, so in terms of this then, if this is still here by the way, just press the X there and it'll disappear. The first thing I want to do is add a title. So I'm going to go to my insert tab at the top here, and then I'm going to go to my text box, which is here, and then I'm going to drag my text box where I want it to be in my visualization. And then when I've dragged it here, I can type in executive summary dash finance report. That's going to be the name of our Power BI report, executive summary dash finance report, and I'm going to change the settings here. I'm going to make it size 20, and I'm going to make it bold, so I might have to highlight it, click bold, and then make it size 20 like so. Okay, so you can see I've started to make my visualization now. I've got my title at the top. Second, what we're going to do is we're going to make a table which looks at the profit by date. So obviously we're going to need to look for profit based on the questions asked before, and we need to look at how we do that within date. We're going to make a bar chart to start off with in terms of this. Okay, so in the right hand side here, what you can do is you can jump over to our finances, which is here, and then we've got our date, which is there. However, we don't want to use that one. We want to go to calendar and use the one that we've previously created. So if we go to calendar, and then we drag in our date into here, you should see a set of dates appear. Okay, obviously this is just a list at the moment, and then what we need to do is we need to make it into a bar chart. So we're going to go to the top, it's the 4th one along. We're going to actually use clustered column chart, sorry. We're going to click on this, and you'll see now it starts to change the way it's designed. The reason at the moment there's no data within it is because we've not added it into this section here. So as you can see, we've got year, quarter, month and day. That's what it's going to be sorted by. But the value that we want, which is here, we want it to be profit. So we're going to drag the profit into values, or you could just drop it on top, it would work as well. And when we drop that in, you'll now see that we've now got a basic column chart which looks at profit based upon the year. Okay, we don't want it to be this acute, So we don't want it to be 2013, 2014. We want to break it down a little bit more than that. So a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to jump over to my axis here. I'm going to click on this little drop down box, and then I'm going to change this to date, which is this one here, and this will bring in all of my other pieces of data like so, and then I can start to look at how we then change this to meet different aspects. One of the things you can do within Power BI, which is really good, you can make charts to make it easy for you to understand before you get to the final chart that you want to have. So in terms of this is a really easy chart to make, a column chart or a bar chart, to see that visualization. So now I've made this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to a line chart here, or line chart, and I'm going to click on that, and you'll now see it appears like so. So you can see from this I've now got my profit by date selected, and this is going to show me some really good information. I'm going to place this on my map on the left hand side, on my visualization. I'm going to place it around there. We can play around this later on. I'm going to have something else here. I'm going to have something else here. So I want it a bit smaller than that, like so. And then you can see now we've got the first stage of our report, or our dashboard built. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to build a map, and we're going to look at profit by country. So in the right hand side here, if you go to country and you drag that onto the dashboard, it should automatically select the map because that's the closest related one. If it doesn't, you can just go up to here and click on map. And then I want to look at the map, but also I want to look at the profits per map. So you can see how these circles here are only at the moment representing the data that's selected, but I want it to represent the profit column as well, or the values as well. So if I go to the right hand side, go to profit, which is here, and then I drag that on top of this chart, you'll notice what actually happens is these circles get bigger depending on profit. And in the right hand side here, you'll also see under size there's profit there. So what I could have done is, instead of including it and just dragging it onto there, I could have dropped profit onto size and it would have done the same thing. So that's quite an easy visualization. I'm just going to pop that one there for now. And now I'm going to look at sales by product and segment themselves. So segment, I just mean type in essence. In order to do this, I'm going to build the column chart using 3 different fields. So I'm going to use my sales tab, which is here. I'm going to drag this down and drop it into this section. And then I'm going to make sure that my column is selected, which it is just naturally. And then I'm going to drag my product, which is here, on top of my sales. And then I'm going to drag my segment here on top of the same graph. And you'll notice now, if I make this bigger, drag it across, that we've got sales by product and segment. It's broken it down for each one of them sections for me, and then I've got a little key there that tells me this information as well, and it tells me how many have been sold on the left hand side and what products. Inside the visualization, you can obviously change this around a little bit if you wanted to, depending on what you wanted to see within this. But again, this is just a quick and easy way of showcasing this data from my Excel document in an easy manner. The next thing we're going to do is quite good, and it's quite an extensive thing you would use within Power BI, and we're going to make a slicer. So what a slicer is basically going to do, it's going to look at all of my different graphs, and it's going to customize them depending on what I want it to look at. So it's basically like a filter in essence. However, it can do it based upon ranges rather than just individual sections that's been selected. There's a couple of ways of doing this. I'm going to focus on using the DAX table method because that's something that we've just built. You can do it without using, so by DAX method I mean is we've built this calendar and date here. I'm going to do it using this table that I've previously created using DAX. You could use it doing this one as well by pulling different elements together, and you'll kind of see what I mean in a second. So in the fields tab then on the right hand side, I'm going to drag my date. I'm going to drag it onto this section here, which is blank, and you should see a list of data there. Some years, some quarters, some January aspects. Make it a bit bigger just so you can see it. You'll notice that it's got loads of information within there. I don't want all this data here. The only filter I want to be able to do for the purpose of this is the year and month. So if I go to the right hand side here, I've got year, month, quarter, date. I'm just going to get rid of quarter, and you notice it loses it from this table. I'm going to get rid of day, and it loses it from this table as well. So now I've just got this section here. I'm going to edit my dashboard a little bit just to make it all fit, like so. And then I'm going to drag this up to the top. And now I'm just going to drag it down because I want all of my data to be available within this. And then I'm going to drag this left a little bit. And I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. You notice when you're playing around with it as well, you get these little red lines that appear, just to help you design it. Okay, so we've got basically the dashboard built now. Okay, so as you can see now, we've got our slicer, we've got our different elements within here, and we can just click on one of these if we wanted to, and it would show us a different set of data. We can also at the top here, we can click that sort button, and it will allow, sorry, the filter button, and it will do other aspects. There's no filters applied right now, but we could add them within this section here if we wanted to. But the main purpose of this is, you can see now from this, that this dashboard we've just created is interactive. We can click on February if we wanted to and find out what happened in February. We can click on September, find out what happened in September, and we can start to drill down in this section and break our data up and start to conduct analysis on it using different methods. Okay, so we've got that section done there. What we're now going to do is we're going to look at just some basic formatting things to make it look good. Obviously, a visualization is about showing a stakeholder what sort of data you've used and how you could then show that in a way which puts trust in your job role and it makes it look professional. One of the things with data analytics in general is looking professional. If they can trust data you've built and it looks good, then there's more likely to use it in a certain way. So formatting itself is not about just making it look pretty. It's about the idea of building that trust with that employer or that client or that person you're showing it off to. Okay, and obviously if this was over here random and that was on there, if you open this up and you were looking at it and it was all overlapping, it wouldn't look good, would it? So people wouldn't think you looked after the data in the same way. So that's kind of why we do this. Okay, so if we go to our view tab at the top, so I'm going to click on the dashboard itself, and then we go on to let's go on to view, and then we've got our themes here. I'm just going to press this drop down box and I'm just going to go all the way to this one here. It doesn't really matter which one you click, but I'm going to go into that one. And now when I've got this basic format built and I've got this basic design, I'm just going to change some of this up a little bit. I'm going to edit some of the titles, make some shadows appear, make it look a bit better than it does currently. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my visual 2, which is this one. And then I'm going to go to my title section within here. So I'm going to go to visualizations, I'm going to go to format, which is there. And now I'm going to go down to title. And I'm just going to change my title from profit by date to profit by month and year, because that's what's actually happening. Like so. And you'll see now this bit has changed within this dashboard. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, so I'll make it 16 text. And then I will turn shadow on. So shadow is just come out of title, you've got shadow at the bottom. When you turn shadow on, you'll see this little shadow appear around it. Just a nice little touch just to make it look good. I'm now going to go to my map here, and I'm going to go to the right hand side again. I'm going to go to my format tab. I'm going to go to my title, and then I'm going to keep, in fact I'll keep the title the same on this one. I will however go to, let me find out where it is. I always forget where some stuff is. Normally when I'm doing my own, I just look through it and then I just decide what I want to do. I'll turn shadow on for this one. And then I will turn on, if we go into map style, I'm going to turn road, I'm going to change that to grayscale. So this will turn to grayscale. I'm going to make it look like this, just so I can kind of see these profits a little bit more clearly and they don't blend into the sea in the background of that. So I'm going to leave that one like so. I'm going to go to my title, which is here. I'm going to make sure that's on. In fact, I'll make that 16 font for this. Highlight it, select for 16. And then I will go to my format text box here and I will turn on my shadow again, which is there. So again, you can see how it's starting to come together. I might have to edit this a little bit in a minute, but that's fine. Obviously it's messed up a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a background shape for the title. So what I'll do is I'll just move this around a little bit. I'll make this over to here, which is what I want. I'm going to drop this down, make it fit. I'll drop this right down here. And again, I'm just going to make these a little bit bigger. You can play around with it however you want to, just make sure it looks kind of the same. And then with this one, I need to drop that down to be in line with this. In line with this one. You can see very quickly I've just managed to make that look much better. And in fact on the left one here I'll turn shadow on for this to make sure it all kind of matches, and I'll do the same for the bottom one. I'll turn shadow on for that one. And you should see now, I'm just going to drop this down again so it matches here. We've started to get this good little visualization dashboard. The only thing is here I kind of want a title for it, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump to the top of our board here. I'm going to click on insert, I'm going to put a shape on, I'm going to have a rectangle, and I'm just going to make it the same size as that box at the top there to start off with. And now I'm going to go to my right hand side here, I'm going to go to my fill option, I'm just going to make it a bit light blue. You can make it out whatever colour you want to, it doesn't matter. I'm going to turn my transparency on full, like so. And then I'm going to go to my section here. Or should I do it that way? In fact, no, I don't want to return transparency off there. I want to go to outline and turn transparency on. That's what I want to do. Because you see at the side here, it's very blocky. I don't want that blocky bit. And then I'm going to click on the shape here. I'm going to go to my view tab at the top. No, in fact, I'm going to go to format at the top. I'm going to go to send backwards and send to back. And what that should do now, it sends that completely back in my dashboard. And when I click off it, you'll notice that this now appears on the top. Okay. And then what I can do is I can mess around with this text box to make it fit. So I'm going to click on my text box. I'm going to go to the right hand side. I'm going to go to my background. I'm going to turn background off. I'm going to make this white like so. So click that little arrow, press white. I'm going to make it bigger again to make sure it fits. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my text box, which is here, which is this one I've got selected, and I'm just going to make it fit in the middle of the box I've created there. And I'm going to click off it. And you notice now it's starting to build the right sort of shape, if you will. If I just click on it a second, it's kind of messed up because it's going over it in this different shape, which I don't want. So I'm going to go to my fill here. Just going to make sure it's the same colour. I'll turn shadow off for my title, and that should get rid of that. Cool. So it's just shadow that's making it look a bit weird. And again, play around with it, make it look really good. So you can see now from that quick dashboard, I've now got my dashboard built. It's allowed me to put in an Excel document and build elements such as that. I've built an Excel document and I've transformed it into Power BI. I've done some basic transforms within that, within the Transform Power Query tab, such as change data type, change everything to capitals, change the way in which we looked at whole numbers. And then from that, I've built myself a little DAX table here, which does some new measurements, which basically pulls some of them columns together. And then from that, these financial aspects, I've built myself some sets of graphs. This slicer one is really handy, because what I could do now is I click on August and go, right, okay, well, August wasn't busy. October shows my profit. I could click on that and I can click on November, and it shows my profit from October to November. I can do some analysis such as that. What you can then do later on, which we're going to look at, is, for instance, here on this profit and month and margin, profit by month and year. On the right hand side here, you've got this data analytics tab. So you've got your normal fields, then format, then data analytics, and you can put things like trend lines in there. You can put a median line. You can add one, for instance, and that would show the median line. So there's different things we can do in the future that this is going to really help us understand how to do analytics. And it's just going to make lives much, much easier when we get to this point. Okay, so like the last video, to publish it, I'm just going to quickly save it. So save as desktop. I'll call it tutorial 2. You call it whatever you want to. Then we can go to home and publish. I'm going to just publish it to my workspace here. Then it's published in tutorial2.pbix, which is the format. It might pop up here and tell you to sign in or something, and I'm just going to open my tutorial 2 Power BI into here, and you've now seen that that's been opened successfully. You can obviously share it and you can do different things within this as well, but we've just built again a basic dashboard there using an Excel document this time that we can start to look at and how we can edit in the future. So I tried to make this video a little bit quicker than the last one. Hopefully it was useful, and I will see you in the next video.